Right, Core Mathematics C2, January 2007. It's an Edexcel past exam question, question number 5. So let's have a read. So fx is defined as x cubed plus 4x squared plus x minus 6. And in part A, we need to use the factor theorem to show that x plus 2 is a factor of f of x. So in this case, let me copy down. So let me pick up my blue pen. And let me copy down f of x. So f of x, and that is defined as x cubed plus 4x squared plus x minus 6. Now, if you're not aware of the factor theorem, I have created videos explaining the factor theorem, going through additional examples in a step-by-step manner, so be sure to check out those videos. I'll provide a link to those videos in the description below. However, let me talk through the steps. S1 relates to step number 1, and in step number 1 we know f of x, so let me just copy that out again. So it's x cubed plus 4x squared plus x minus 6. And we take the term, which is x plus 2 in the question, and we equate that always to 0 as a part of step number 1. So we always equate to 0. So let me take a red pen. So this is always equated to 0 as a part of the factor theorem or remainder theorem method. And if I rearrange as a result, the x value, taking the plus 2 to the other side, gives us minus 2. So moving on from there, we move to step number 2. S2 refers to step number 2. So in step number 2, we're going to be calculating f of minus 2. So we need f of minus 2. So this minus 2, it refers to this value here. So let me take my red pen and illustrate where that minus 2 comes from. It comes from here. So to work out f of minus 2, it's straightforward. Replace the x's in f of x by minus 2's. So we're going to get x replaced by minus 2. So it's a minus 2 cubed plus 4 into x replaced by minus 2. So it's a minus 2 squared plus x, that replaced by minus 2, minus the 6 at the end. So let's go one stage further. Minus 2 cubed is minus 8. Minus 2 squared is plus 4 times the 4 in front amounts to 16. Plus into a minus is minus, so minus 2 minus the 6 at the end. And if we go even further, minus 8 plus 16 is plus 8. Plus 8 minus 2 minus 6 is 0. Now, with regards to the factor theorem, if f of a equals 0, that implies x minus a is a factor of f of x. So let me write down the factor theorem briefly in red. So the factor theorem states that if f of a is equal to 0, therefore x minus a is a factor of f of x. So I'll write that for you guys in red. So I wrote down the factor theorem in red, but let's apply it here. So we see that f of minus 2 equals 0. So I'm going to say that since f of minus 2 is equal to 0, so therefore x minus of minus 2, so that relates to x plus 2. So therefore x plus 2 is a factor of f of x. So that completes part A. let's have a look at part B. So for part B, so let me continue down here. Part B, factorize f of x completely. So if you're unaware of the approach, again, I've created videos explaining how to factorize a cubic polynomial completely, and I'll give links to those videos in the description below. But the approach is we need to divide f of x by a factor of f of x. So that is step number one of the process. So in this case we're lucky in the sense that we know that x plus 2 is a factor of f of x. So in the first step we always divide our function for f of x by the factor of f of x. So I'm going to algebraically divide. So let me be as neat as I can. So I'm going to algebraically divide f of x. So let me copy that down. So that is x cubed plus 4x squared plus x minus 6, and we're dividing it by the factor, which is x plus 2. If you're unaware of algebraic division, if you're unaware of the methods, I have created videos explaining algebraic division along with examples, and I'll go through the examples in a step-by-step manner, so I'll provide links to those videos in the description below. But what I usually do is with algebraic division, I write the letters capital D, capital M, capital S in the corner. DMS relates to divide, multiply and subtract. So this is the order of the operations. And the first operation, so you need to go in the order of the operations. The first operation is D, D's divide. So with divide means we need to divide the first term here with the first term here. So if I divide x cubed by x, x cubed divided by x is x squared. So whenever we divide, we write down the outcome on the top. Okay. Now, once you've done that, you go to the next operation, which is M. M means multiply. And with multiplication, what you need to do is you need to multiply the term that you have on top by x plus 2. So you need to multiply x squared by both of these terms here. So let's have a look. Let's perform the calculation. X squared times x is x cubed. So write the terms underneath in the orders of the powers. X squared times 2 is plus 2x squared. Now what do we do next? We do S. S means subtract, and subtract means we change the signs of these two terms on the bottom. So we always reverse or change the signs of these two terms appearing in the bottom. So this plus changes to minus, this plus also changes to minus, and then when you add, x cubed minus x cubed will cancel. 4x squared minus 2x squared is 2x squared. And then after which, ideally you need two terms here. So to get two terms, currently you have one. You bring this term here down. So you bring the term along the side, along with the sign. So you need to bring this plus x down. Now once you reach this step, this particular step where you have two terms, you repeat this process. So first step is division. So as we did earlier, we need to divide the first term, but it's the first term here, by the first term here. So 2x squared divided by x. So if I pick up my blue pen, 2x squared divided by x is 2x. So whenever you divide, write down the outcome on the top. And the next operation is multiplication. 2x times x is 2x squared. So writes down the answers of multiplication beneath in the orders of the powers again. and 2x times plus 2 is plus 4x. So this is what we have at the moment. The next step is subtraction. So remember subtraction. Subtraction, as we've seen earlier, is we only change or reverse the signs of the bottom two terms. So this plus here, let's reverse it to minus. This plus here, we'll reverse that to minus also, so that when we add 2x squared minus 2x squared will cancel, and x minus 4x is minus 3x. Now, as we've seen before, ideally we need two terms here, so we bring this term along with the sign, so we bring the minus 6 down. And once we reach this stage whereby we have two terms here, we'll go back to d. So d's division. So remember division, so let me be consistent with the colours. So division means we divide the first term, which is minus 3x, by the first term here, which is x. So let's have a go. Minus 3x divided by x is minus 3. And after which we do an m. M means multiplication. So minus 3 times x is minus 3x. Minus 3 times plus 2 is minus 6. And if we go further to the next step, which is s, subtraction. Remember subtraction, as we've seen twice before, we only reverse the signs of the terms in the bottom. This minus changes to plus. This minus also changes to plus. Minus 3x plus 3x will cancel. So too, minus 6 plus 6. That will cancel also, giving us this remainder of 0. So, as part of the Factorize Completely methods, and be sure to check out the videos explaining the method with additional examples. I'll provide the links in the description below. But as part of the Factorize Completely methods, the remainder should always be 0. And the reason being is we're dividing by a factor, and the term factor means that the remainder upon division is 0. So the remainder should be 0 as part of the Factorising Completely method. Now, moving on from there, what do we do with this? Now, this term underneath your division sign, so copy that down. So the term x cubed plus 4x squared plus x minus 6. So we call that term the dividend. So the dividend is the term underneath your division sign. So if I take a orange pen perhaps, so this term over here, we call that the dividend. So let me write down the word, whoops, so it's dividend, so dividend. And that dividend is always equal to the divisor. So if I take a different coloured pen, so let me take let's take this pink colour, and the divisor is what you're dividing by, so that is equal to the divisor, and the divisor, so if I go back to my favourite colour blue, so the divisor, as you can see, is x plus 2 multiplied by the quotient. So let me take a purpley colour, and the quotient is this term on the top, so the term on top of your division sign. So multiply by the quotient, so let me write down quotient here. Let me go back to my favourite colour blue, so let me copy down the quotient, so it's x squared plus 2x minus 3, so x squared plus 2x minus 3 plus the remainder, and the remainder, as you can see, is 0. so plus a 0. So if I go one more stage, so we'll have x plus 2, so which is this term here, and we're going to factorize completely. So that is what the question has asked us to do. So the question, remember, is to factorize f of x completely. Factorize completely means we need to write it as a product of 3 terms. Okay, it's a product of 3 terms since the highest degree of our polynomial is 3. So the highest power is 3 as far as our polynomial is concerned. So we need to write it as a product of 3 terms. So in order to do that, we have to factorize this quadratic. So if we were to factorize to give us a further 2 brackets, so in this case we should get x plus 3 and x minus 1. So that is what you should have as a result of the quadratic factorization. And again, there is a video that I've created in the past on quadratic factorization, and I'll provide a link to that video in the description also. Right, so part C. Part C is to write down all of the solutions to the equation. So in this case, if you observe the left hand side, so if I pick up my pen, this left hand side, this left hand term relates to f of x. So in other words, we have an f of x equaling 0. However, if we revisit our answer of part B, we factorized f of x completely. So we wrote that as a product of 3 terms. So what I'm going to do over here is I'm going to use this factorized form in order to help us solve and find all of the solutions to this equation. So let me copy out part C. So for part C we have x cubed plus 4x squared plus x minus 6, and that is equal to 0. So as you can see, I've copied down the equation. And in part B, we factorize the left hand side completely. So in this case, since this equals x plus 2 plus x plus 3 minus 1, let's use that and rewrite this equation. So I'm going to rewrite the left as x plus 2 times x plus 3 times x minus 1, and that is equal to 0. And since the product of these 3 terms equals 0, we can equate each term to 0 to find the corresponding values of x. So in this case, either we have x plus 2, the first term, and let's equate that to 0, so that when I rearrange, x is going to be minus 2. Or, so let me continue below, or the second term, which reads x plus 3 is equal to 0, and if I take the plus 3 to the other side, x therefore is minus 3. Or the third term, x minus 1 is equal to 0, and if I take the minus 1 to the right hand side, x is equal to plus 1. So here are the 3 solutions. Here are the values of x, the values being minus 2, minus 3 and plus 1. So that should be the outcome of part C. So not only that completes part C, that completes the question in its entirety. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did enjoy the video, be sure to subscribe, and I hope to see you again. Thank you.